This is the first of 3 videos that I'm going to do on break falls. And break falling is kind of an art in itself. It's essential to kind of an essential add-on to ground fighting, because when somebody falls, especially if they're falling on a hard surface, it's a really easy way to get a major injury. Lots and lots of stories that I have in my little hard drive here about some catastrophic things that happened when people fell. There was probably 15 years ago, a couple of junior high kids that met for a fight up on Bullard near Bullard and Palm, I think it was, in a parking lot of a store. And just a couple of junior hires, they were fighting, and one kid got either punched or he got thrown, and he came down the asphalt, hit his head, had a major head trauma, and was brain dead by the time they got to the hospital. 2017 or 2018, I can't remember, I think it was 2018, down in San Bernardino, there was, or Riverside, one or the other, there was a sheriff's deputy. He was actually pretty old. He was 70 and he was still working. But he was off duty and got in a fender bender, and some surveillance video captured what happened. He came back. The guy hit him, so they both stopped. He came back. Nobody really knows what was said, but an argument ensued, and he started to go back to his car. Then he came back, and it was still pretty heated. And the guy that he was arguing with actually had a long criminal record, and gave him a really quick haymaker punch. The deputy fell, hit his head, and again, he died from that head trauma. So head traumas are a big possibility. That's the worst thing that could happen. Some other bad things would be neck injuries, whiplashing. Anytime you land on your elbows, they shatter. Just think about taking a light bulb and dropping it on concrete. That's what happens to your elbows. I know of one situation many years ago where somebody fell backwards. They landed on their hands, and their arms were locked, drove their arms straight up into their shoulder, and tore out their shoulder. So falling is a big deal. So, we learn a few throws in this class, because falling is also a really good defensive measure. If you can take somebody down to the ground, you can eliminate the threat. If that person takes you to the ground, he can eliminate you too. So, the first thing to ground fighting is learning how to fall. And learning how to fall is difficult. If you have mats, I don't expect people to have mats, but if you have some mats, use them. If you don't have mats, practicing this, you're going to have to find a place that has some really cushy grass. This is not something you want to ever practice on a hard surface unless you get to the point where you're very skilled at it. I'm going to demonstrate 3 different ways of falling, and for youth practice. And we're going to start with the very basics of how to do it because it's really scary to think about falling down. When we're toddlers, we fall down, nothing happens to us because we're only this high. But when we get to be adults, we're way up here, and we fall down, and things break. So this is the first of 3. The first one I'm going to cover is the back fall. Now, for all of these, you'll have to excuse me. I'm going to use a neck collar because I think I mentioned in one of the videos that I had my neck very close to being broken a few years ago, and over time, especially many years in Hapkido and doing a lot of break falling, thousands and thousands of break falls, that initial injury just kind of got worse and worse. So now, if I don't do something to protect myself, I'll have headaches for 4 days because my neck just doesn't support things as much as it used to. So, which brings us to the point that proper break falling, you are protecting your head and your neck. So I'm going to do a back fall for you. And a back fall, what I'm doing is I'm tucking my chin. Okay, for all of our falls, we want to tuck our chin and we want to keep it tucked. In other words, as I'm going down, I don't want to let it come up. That's how you get a whiplash. That's how you end up hitting your head. So I tuck my chin. I'm going to demonstrate the back fall. So I'm here, somebody pushes me maybe, and I go down, and I keep my chin tucked, and I'm going to slap really hard. And just so you know, I think my dog Bane will probably come to my rescue. So we go down, and my prediction was right on. So what I'm doing is, when I stand up, actually Bane has to let me stand up. When I stand up and I'm going back, I don't just fall straight back like this. Anytime I feel myself falling back, what I do is I collapse my legs. Okay? I collapse my legs. When I land, I slap hard because that dissipates some of the energy that would otherwise be going into my hips and my back. And when I slap hard, I don't want to get my arms way out here. That puts tremendous stress on your shoulders. So I want to keep them at an angle. I always tell students when we're learning this to pretend you're a penguin, because penguins, you know, they walk like this, and their little wings are out like that. So you don't see penguins with their wings spread like this. Penguins, their little fake wings are like this. So this is where you want your hands to be when you hit. So again, what's hitting is either my hands are hitting just about first, or they're hitting simultaneously with my hips. Now, the other thing is I keep my arms straight. I don't want to bend them, because if I bend them, I might end up on my elbows first. I want the whole surface of my arm to hit. And again, that's just a way of dissipating some of that impact that would be otherwise going into my back or into my hips and causing a lot of damage there. So I'll do it one more time. Bane, let's move over here. There we go. And he's going to come up. Okay, well, I'll just see what happens here. Okay, so I tuck, and as I fall, I collapse my legs. Okay, see that? So I tuck, and sometimes when practicing, it's easy to cross your arms because it's easier to come out like that. That's one way of doing it. So if you want to, you can cross your arms, tuck your chin, collapse your legs, and boom. And notice that I kind of roll back as I do that. As I fall, I roll back. So again, that's dissipating energy too. So I'm kind of making my body a little bit rounded, like a pill bug. Okay, so I don't think Bane is going to help much here, but so how do we get to that point? So the way we get there is get on a soft surface and sit. And then what we're going to do is just the same thing. I'm going to tuck. I'm going to cross my arms. You don't have to cross your arms, but it helps again. And then I'm just going to roll back. Okay? And then the next time I roll back, nope. Sit. Over here. We're starting advanced obedience training, and I think I'm wasting my money. Okay. So we roll back, and I slap. Roll back, and I slap. Pretty fun, huh? Okay. So that's the initial way you do it. You roll back and slap. Then, what we're going to do is we're going to stand up, but we're not going to do it from standing. We're going to squat as low as we can, and we're going to roll back and slap. Okay? So we're squatting, tucking our chin, and we're rolling back and slapping. Okay? And then from there, you can stand. After you've done that enough times that you feel comfortable, you can stand. Because essentially, when I stand, all I'm doing is going into my squat first. As I go back, I'm squatting so that when my hip actually hits, when my booty hits there, my back hits there, it's only this far above the ground. Okay? So that's the back fall. We're also going to do a forward roll and side fall, and those will be in separate videos. So try that. Don't try it standing at first. Try it sitting. And when you feel comfortable, and again, make sure it's a soft surface. If you can't find a soft surface, then I would say, don't do it, because you really need, the idea is to protect yourself, and if you hurt yourself in training, that's not protecting yourself. So find a soft surface somewhere and give it a try, and then we will go through these other ones, and hopefully, even though we're not face-to-face, you can kind of learn this. These falls have saved some people I know. One of my students, a young man who's a teenager, who's not a teenager now, but years ago he was skateboarding down a hill, hit a bump, he went flying, immediately went into a front roll, which saved him from getting severely injured. I had a very abrupt stop thanks to a dog that was chasing me when I was on a bike, and I went over the handlebars, and I went into a front roll and came out of it with hardly a scratch. So these are kind of life-saving techniques, not only for self-defense, but just for everyday accidents. So work on it. We'll see you at the next video.